Hello everybody, Gibsmatic here, and today I'm going to be talking about the one thing that I hope that Gunrunning adds or fixes in GTA Online. And this has been something that Rockstar, every time they add in a DLC that adds new weapons, most of the time they make the same mistake. And I want to talk about that in this video and what I hope for in the Gunrunning DLC. So if you don't know, the Gunrunning DLC should be coming out in the next couple months. We're not sure just yet, but in one of the recent Rockstar Newswire posts, they were talking about upcoming DLCs and what's going to be going on with GTA Online. And the first thing that they talked about was, of course, the special vehicle circuit, but at the end, they also mentioned something about Gunrunning, which is going to be a new DLC. We're not sure too much information on it. Most likely it'll be a new business-centered DLC, and you'll sort of create your own militia, or you're going to be, creating guns or stealing guns and then selling them, or something similar to Finance and Felony. That's how I feel it's going to work. However, like I said, we don't know when it'll be coming out. It could be next month. It could be 3 months from now. They say it's sometime in spring or summer, but we're not sure just when it'll be coming out. However, if there's one thing that I hope that this DLC can do, especially because it would definitely fit with the theme of this DLC, is new weapons that are actually good, because the majority of DLC weapons aren't all too great. Now, there are a few exceptions, and we'll talk about those in this video, but most are just kind of average or below average, and after, the first week of the DLC being out, you don't see many people using some of the DLC weapons. And it would definitely make sense in a DLC centered around military themed items and this gun running DLC. It's in the name. I feel like it would be great if we could see actually good weapons in this DLC that not only are viable but also have their own certain strengths and weaknesses compared to the other weapons already in the game. So I sort of wanted to talk about this because there was this sort of leak on the GTA forums over the past couple weeks, and it was from somebody that goes by the name of JDKK2. Now, I can't find the actual post on the GTA forums anymore, mainly because the person got banned off of the GTA forums, I believe by the admins, because they found out that he was basically just making all of these leaks up. So take this, everything I say in here, don't believe it. Even though it's a leak, technically it was pretty much just somebody on the GTA forums just coming up with a wish list and then trying to get everybody to believe that it was real. However, in that post, he mentioned a few weapons that are already in the game files, and they've been in the game files for a long time. And these are weapons like the heavy rifle, the programmable AR, but these have been in the game files for so long, and I feel like that would be awesome if they could add in some of these weapons that have been in the game files from the beginning pretty much, or at least it was a very long time ago whenever they were added. And these are stuff like the heavy rifle, which is essentially based off of the Scar H in real life, and then the programmable AR, which is based off the XM25, so that'd be like a sort of special grenade launcher. And in the background, you're actually going to be seeing some gameplay of the Scar H. Now, this is a mod on PC. I'll have a link in the description to it. It's actually a very well created mod. It's a very good looking weapon, in my opinion, even though it does have a few issues, and it's pretty much just a replacer for the special carbine. So it doesn't have special stats or special reload animations. It's just essentially a different skin for the special carbine. However, if you do want to check it out in your own game, then there is a link in the description to download the mod. It doesn't matter exactly if they want to add in the heavy rifle or, a different type of assault rifle. I feel like most people would want to see a new assault rifle. However, there are other weapon types that some people would want to see. I hear a lot of people saying that they want a new machine gun, and a lot of people also want new snipers, and maybe even, a new special weapon. However, I feel like what I would want to see the most is this sort of heavy rifle. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Scar H. However, I do feel like a sort of high damage assault rifle, sort of a battle rifle, would be very useful and also a very fun weapon to use in GTA Online. Because it would honestly, if they balance the weapon right, and I'll talk about how they could balance it in this video, if they balance it right, it could essentially be a competitor to the advanced rifle. I feel like something like the heavy rifle, where it has higher damage than the advanced rifle, which the advanced rifle has a damage of 34, maybe have, the heavy rifle have 40 or 45 damage, sort of similar to the MG or the combat MG, and then have it have a slower rate of fire and maybe a little bit more recoil. And honestly, I feel like one of the best ways to balance it would honestly be have a lower magazine count. So only 20 rounds in the standard magazine, and then only like 30 or 40 in the extended magazine. And maybe don't even have a drum magazine on it or something like that. And I feel like that would be a very good way of balancing this weapon out. And there's definitely a lot of other weapon types I would love to see in GT Online. Imagine, if they're going to add in a new MG, don't just add in an MG and make it terrible, and nobody would want to use it because everybody's still just going to go back to the combat MG. Actually make it viable and have its own niche in GT Online. Maybe something like a higher rounds per minute than the combat MG, but maybe a lower magazine count, or maybe a lower bit of damage. Something like that would work quite well. Or if they're going to add, say, a new SMG, imagine something, a very high rate of fire SMG that can just do absolute crazy damage at close range and just have an insane DPS at close range. However, at longer ranges, the accuracy is going to be terrible, as well as the range damage drop-off would just be much worse than every other SMG in the game. Something like that. And that would actually give more variety in close range combat, because in close range combat, most people just use the assault shotgun, maybe some SMGs here and there, but most of the time, it's mainly just the assault shotgun in close range combat. And that's what I would want to see in this DLC. If they're going to add new weapons, which is very likely in this DLC, because the entire DLC is essentially going to be based around weapons and gun running, then I hope that they don't add in weapons that are just completely pointless, because they have done that in the past. How many melee weapons have we gotten in GT Online? How many just various pistols that really aren't much different than the base pistols we got with the base game? Even weapons like the special carbine and the bullpup rifle are still outclassed by the advanced rifle. Even the sweeper shotgun that was added in Bikers, that's essentially just a worse version of the assault shotgun. Sure, you could argue, well, maybe those weapons are designed for new players, but even then, how many new players are still coming to GTA? I don't know how many, but I don't believe it's that many. So I would like to see, if they're going to add in these new weapons, and I know some people argue, well, like, oh, why do they need to be good? I just use, whatever weapons look the best. But why not have it both ways? And that's how I always feel whenever they're going to add in these new weapons. Why not have it not only be a good weapon, but also look good, and also be a fun weapon to use? But if it's not a good weapon, then most people will just move on from it and just not use it after the first couple weeks of the DLC being out. And this is what I would love to see in the Gunrunning DLC, especially because it's been a long time since we've gotten new weapons in GT Online. It's been ever since the Biker DLC, which was like 6 months ago. And while we did get a lot of weapons in the Biker DLC, a large number of them were just melee weapons and just weapons that weren't all too great. Now, while I will say there are certain DLCs that did add some, unique and interesting weapons that did sort of change up the meta in GT Online. DLCs like the LTS update, which added the marksman rifle. Now, you may love it or hate it, and it is a very controversial weapon in GT Online, but at least it changed up the snipers in GT Online, because it was always just the heavy sniper all the way, but now you at least have more variety in how the weapons are in GT Online. Same with stuff like the homing launcher. I hate the homing launcher just as much as everyone, but at least it's a good weapon. It's better than just adding in, a weapon that's just for novelty's sake, or a weapon that's just completely outclassed by other weapons already existing in the base game. And there are other weapons, maybe you could argue the heavy pistol, but let's be honest, how many people actually use those slower rate of fire pistols? Especially whenever most people would just opt for the marksman pistol or the heavy revolver, which is another weapon that is quite interesting, and it does have its own purpose. However, that's a very niche purpose, and it's still not a very popular weapon because it's just very high risk, high reward. However, it is a pretty cool weapon and does have its own purpose in GT Online. And that's what I want to see in this DLC. Weapons with a purpose. I don't want to see just them adding in a new assault rifle and have it just be a carbon copy of the carbine rifle, or have it be, you know, maybe a few different stats like the compact rifle was with the assault rifle. You know, it's just like slightly more damage, but it still gets outclassed by the advanced rifle in pretty much every single situation. Now, I would definitely love to see a full rebalance of all the weapons in GTA Online, but I feel like that's not going to happen. I did make a video series on that, kind of, I think, a year ago at this point. And if you want to check that out, I'll have a link in the description to it. It will go over a lot of how to balance weapons in GTA Online and sort of what I would like to see. It is a little outdated, to be honest. There are certain weapons that were added in DLCs after I made those videos. However, even though I would love to see a full rebalance of all the weapons in GTA Online, I don't see it happening. But anyways, some more thoughts on this in the comments. If you could have one weapon in GTA Online, what would you like to see added to GTA Online in the Gunrunning DLC? We'll have to wait and see how many guns are going to be in this DLC, or if any at all. Hope you enjoyed. Feedback, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.